This is October 20th.
The Joe Girolando special.
What are we doing for the other one?
I think we're still trying to figure that out, weren't we? Or did I
I thought we had some stuff.
Oh, retro formats. The popularity.
Yeah.
2011 characters is looking good. Yo, when you hit 3 ulti with duality. I'm excited.
Oh, man.
Almost ready.
No, you're good, Chief.
Damn, you're gonna get really late. I hope you want to end stream because I want to just chill out.
Monsters.
Dang, it sucks. Yo, Turtle, maybe we'll play tomorrow. I do want to play, but it's gonna be so late. I want to sleep earlier today. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, shit, who's it? Oh.
Wow, okay.
It isn't the bitch man's himself.
Wow, you know, okay. I see how it is. No one
I don't want to fucking hear it. You owe me combat.
I owe you combat?
Dad talking all that shit the other day, cuz. No, what's up?
Like, did I talk a lot of shit? I don't know. Fuck. That was tired me. That dude's way meaner. I'm not even fucking around. I was on 3 hours of sleep. I was like, alright. And we went to locals, got slapped by VFD, Order, and then we got Zexel pathed, and everything sucked.
Oh, yo. So, fun factor. You know how you're talking about how your boy had Invo in his hand with like Red Eyes Black Dragon and all that fun stuff, and he got Lancet, so he had to make a Dragoon?
Me?
Yes.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Alright, so follow me here. This will jog your memory. So, I'm playing Eldritch Invoked at locals on Saturday, right?
Alright.
I'm playing against my buddy Gromans. My opening hand.
You know Gromans? No.
Yeah.
Stop, you gotta unpack some things here first. You know Gromans?
Yeah, they know Gromans, man.
I've known Gromans since like 2011, bro. Gromans is the homie.
Gromans is the fucking MVP.
Like, you realize, like, the first time I met Gromans was when me and him were literally, well, actually, that might have been 2012, but me and him were literally maxing out our water decks at their time, and that's when our penises crossed.
Fair enough.
But anyway, I'm sitting there playing him, and he's playing Dragon Link. It's game 2, and I open Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, Alistair the Invoker, and some sort of Eldritch card, right? So I'm looking at my hand. Clearly I braked. And I'm like, well, I have one of two options. I can stick a Dragoon, or I can keep my Invoked Engine alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whatever. I like to keep the Invoked Engine alive, so I saw my Alistair add Invocation, then activate Invocation, right? Gromans hits me with a Lancia. I look up to him like, well, you made that decision easy for me. He's like, what are you talking about? And I just throw the Dark Magician and the Red Eyes to the fucking yard. And I summon Dragoon.
Just Christ.
He looked at me, I looked at him, and I passed my turn. It was beautiful.
That is actually.
To the yard they went. Into the yard they stayed. Oh, hey, the fucking slut tour guide finally said that you went live.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit. Tour guide is the worst part.
She is the absolute worst, bro.
It's always summoning shit.
We're always summoning shit, bro.
Just tell me I'm leveling up and shit.
That's how we get the big monster.
Yeah.
Big monster.
Tour guide is big monster.
Big monster. Well, she a little monster, but she turns into big monster.
I was gonna say, like, are we just gonna ignore, like, Beatrice like that? She deserves better.
Nah, well, we can't ignore Beatrice because she's thick as fuck, bro. On Kami himself. Nothing really? Damn.
Sorry, I'll get back to your roast in a moment.
Yeah.
All right, let's get some notes out there for the first one.
Notations. So all we're gonna talk about is how Desires is a neg 10, right?
I mean, that sounds about right.
What the fucking here? Alright, hold on now. It's okay, so hold on. It's banished 10, then the pot itself, and then it gets ashed. So technically it's a neg 11.
Well, no, because your opponent
It's
loses the
only-
ash, so it's a neg 10.
Alright, but that's what I like to hear.
It's only a neg 10 if your opponent ashes. If they don't, then it's just 1.
That's what I like to hear.
Like, I feel like that's pretty fair.
Oh yeah.
Gifted.
All right, Joe, release order. So greed.
Greed, avarice, duality, not generosity. Dichotomy.
We're playing generosity. Let's fucking go.
I'm not talking about generosity. Dichotomy, riches, desires, extravagance, prosperity.
What about acquisitiveness?
Pot of acquisitiveness. Oh, pot of acquisitiveness.
Sepulchre banish.
Okay, so it was desires and acquisitiveness, extravagance, and prosperity.
Pure prosperity.
Were
You guys wanna
desires and
hear the
acquisitiveness
coolness?
same time?
No. Acquisitiveness, I believe, came out in Invasion Vengeance.
Yeah, is that before or after? You stop talking set names.
It's after. Desires came out of the Dark Illusion, and then that one came out of Invasion Vengeance. Pretty sure.
And then generosity is just
Generosity is the redheaded stepchild that no one loves.
It's probably like after avarice, right?
Yeah.
All right, so should be pretty easy to talk about these. What are some ways we could see them designing pot cards down the road?
Hold on.
The past 2 have been about the extra, so that's kind of an interesting trend that we're on.
We banish cards from the side deck now.
Yikes. Yeah, you actually shuffle your side deck and banish down, and then you draw from your side deck. Cards only used for one game 2.
That's broken.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, to be fair, like, prosperity's only as good as like your side cards are. Like, I think prosperity kind of sucks game 1, but game 2 and 3, very nice.
Yeah, I mean it just helps bad decks game 1. Decks that struggle to do what they want to do.
Yeah. So when are we playing in an SS?
Yeah, no, I'm actually messing around with it over Desires.
Oh, nice. I pulled one this weekend. We went and bought product after I was thoroughly spanked. So.
Oh, you got thoroughly spanked? Nice.
Yeah, this weekend was fucking garbage.
Don't worry, I got clapped up pretty good too. It was a weird feeling.
Yeah, I lost my VW match after like throwing a bunch of cards at him. Game one, I literally should have won that game. The only thing that happened was that he just top decked and comboed me.
Nice.
Yeah, so then he made the late game VFD, smacked my Link monster. I'm sitting on 4 cards. He's sitting on 1, draws the extender, wins the game. I was like, very nice. And then game 2, he VFD Shinshin me with Chooch, and then he set order.
Did he now?
Yeah, I was like, you are so smart. You are just the most amazing player at our locals. You genius.
All right.
Sounds like his rigidity's safely intact.
All right, let's focus. Let's get some ideas for possible pot cards. So, obviously, it's going to be a pretty hefty cost, right? That's been the trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Although that's kind of neat that like they're
Well,
giving us cards at larger quantities.
if you think of the design, the pot cards are okay. So they're netting advantage, right? But they're giving up something that the game designed for you to use, right? Popular thing being extra deck, or in Desire's case, you basically essentially gave up 25% of your main deck, right?
I mean, because the benefit of these cards is just to get you more cards to play, right? So it doesn't matter if you don't have those cards. If you're going to lose anyway, you got to get to your engine. So the cost can be pretty fucking big. It can't be anything
if you think about it, the cost is almost identical for all of them where you're giving up deck building, honestly. Because you have to play it differently.
Because they've messed around with, what was it, dichotomy. They put like 4 restrictions on that bitch.
All of the restrictions.
Right. And we see with Avarice that it's not even good enough to fucking play anymore because you can't just slap it down.
I slap it down continuously. What do you mean?
Yes, okay. But
I've never not slapped it down.
You can't just, I got 4 bad cards and Avarice. Or, Avarice. I can't play it.
Yeah, like, I think it's a really interesting building model that they've been going on for all of them because, well, they're not making it to where they're just super, like, they're still super generic, but they can only fit in certain decks. Whereas, like, in the past, you've seen Adverse enter every deck and its mother, things like that.
Word.
Interesting. All right, well, I got all night, so Joe, you want to switch?
Yeah, man. Oh, where's that?
All right, finally here. Let me put that up. Get the notes out. And then get out of that. All right, you read?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm gonna grab you a 40 pop. Sody pop acquired.
Well, that's good. All right, let's do this.
All right, bro.
Before I want to off myself.
Game time, baby. Woo! Get hyped.
What video did you just post? Invoked Eldritch deck profile.
Yep.
All right, cool. What is going on, guys? Bingo here. I'm with the Duel Factory for this week's episode of X2 Drop, our Yu-Gi-Oh podcast we do every week, talking about something within the trading card game. It could be product release, could be ban list, could be whatever the fuck we're feeling like that week. And this week, we are going to be talking about the impact that the pot cards have had, their design, and possibly where we think they could go in the future. But before we get into that, if you guys do enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh content, check out the Duel Factory over on YouTube. He's been uploading really consistently. He just uploaded a invoked Eldritch deck profile, and he knows what the fuck he's doing, so go check him out. Personally, I won't be uploading anything besides these podcasts for the next couple of weeks till I get settled at my new place. But if you do want to be part of the community, have your voice heard, talk about the podcast topics, or just feel like jumping in somewhere to duel somebody, go check out the Discord. It's been set up, links wherever you're watching this. It's in the description. So, Joe, you got anything to say about your channel before we kick it?
Like I said, if you're interested in deck profiles for competitive theory for Rogue and meta mostly, I'm the place to go. I do, unfortunately, as John's Discord described, I do no life the game, so I mean, there's that. But yeah, and then hopefully I'm going to be doing more stuff like combo videos and stuff like that. So I'm actually really excited to actually get back to making content.
Yeah, so go check them out. It should be a good time. But this week, like I said, we're talking about the impact and design of the pot cards. This is everything from Greed to the newly released Prosperity. And these cards have seen a severe impact on the way the game is played a lot of the time when they come out. Now, there's been some flops and some like, what the fuck is that cards? But over the years, these have had a lot of impact on deck building and the generic draw in the game. So just breaking it down from roughly release to present, we've had in order Greed, Pot of Greed, Avarice, Generosity, Duality, Dichotomy, Riches, Desires, Acquisitiveness, Extravagance, and Prosperity. Now, I don't think we forgot any, and the order might be a little bit off, but that's not really the point. With Pot of Greed, right? Everybody knows what this card is. It's never gonna be legal again in the game, and if they do, it's because they errated it for whatever fucking reason. Like, there's a reason this is one of the Trinity cards, right? In Go format.
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah, it's just generic draw 2. Yu-Gi-Oh can't have it. Obviously, it's really good. And then you jump to present day where we have cards like Desires and Extravagance, which do the same effect, right? You draw 2 cards, but they have these massive drawbacks or restrictions to them. Desires, you have to banish like 25% of your deck if you're playing a optimal 40 card build. Extravagance, you can only play it as the first card during your turn. Can't draw the rest of the turn. You have to banish 6 cards from your extra deck, which is almost 130 or it's a little more than 130 your extra deck. So obviously draw is extremely powerful. Joe, after all that introduction, this was your topic idea. What made you want to talk about this?
The real reason I really want to talk about is because just recently we got another pop card in Prosperity. So the very last one that just got released, and it's more and more common theme that like Konami themselves are willing to give us like generic +1s in Yu-Gi-Oh, but as you were saying, it's something that like it's like it has like a hefty cost or like hinders like deck building and stuff like that. We really started to see that. From the Dark Illusions, that's when Pot of Desires came out. And I remember when this card came out. Because I remember looking at it initially, and I'm like, this seems kind of steep. But as the months went on before we even got the card, right? You're just sitting there, and you're just like, the banishment doesn't seem that bad. Or something like that. But then I noticed like a trend in like changing of like how deck building was. Because of the way Desires like function, you had to play like more 3-ofs. And that's why I think like all the pot cards like did something like similar to that. You change the way your deck was built, and every time one's released, you see the theme going on. Like it's with every single one of them too. I think it's just a really cool aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, and Desires is a big turning point with the pot cards, and that's because that is when it jumped back to no restrictions. You can just play this card whenever you want. It's just you are paying a huge cost. And if you remember, Desires was pretty cheap on pre-order. Wasn't it like $30 to $40 somewhere in there?
Yeah, pre-order it. Actually, honestly, I think it might have been as low as 25.
Yeah, I know it was cheap, and that's the community didn't see like how good it was off the bat, because I remember that was like roughly when I was getting back into the game, and it was like one of the first things I saw. I saw Desires go from $30 to $50 to fucking $70. Like I just saw this thing jumping up, and luckily I had somebody like good enough to understand like it's just draw 2 cards, right? You see 2 cards, that's it. Those 10 cards don't fucking matter at all, right?
Desires actually holds a special place in my heart, because what is it? The first time I ever played Desires actually was in 2016 in Indianapolis. That's the regional one where I actually had my most success.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
bro, that card, especially like in decks like Mermail that just play a bunch of 3-0s, just being able to consistently see like your best engine card more consistently. I thought that was like the end all be all, like +1 that we were ever going to get there at the time. It was crazy.
Yeah, and like this card is still I don't want to say controversial, but it's very it does have a divide in the community. Like, is it good? Is it bad? Like certain people, like they know it's good, but they hate it because they always draw Desires off Desires, right? Or they always banish the one thing they need. Like
keep the meme alive.
People know it's a good card. Some newer players might not see the value in, okay, why do I want to banish 25% of my deck just to draw 2 cards? But that's like the huge breaking point. And since Desires, like Acquisitiveness was it's not really a generic draw card. It's kind of an oddball, like Generosity and Duality. Like it doesn't really fit like the normal pot cards. It had its niche in 2016. It sees like people talk about it every couple of formats as like a tech, and it's because it's a quick play draw 1. If it was a draw 2, I think it'd have a lot more experimentation.
Actually, isn't it the only pot card? Yeah, it's the only pot card that's a quick play. That's actually a really interesting point to bring up.
So it's nice. It has its uses, its disruption, but I wouldn't really put it in this discussion that we're having today, because I don't know. In my mind, pot cards draw 2 cards, right? I know Duality exists, and even Prosperity. Like, I like Prosperity as a card, but if you had to like tell me like the next pot card coming out, I wouldn't have ever guessed Prosperity, right?
I think Prosperity is way more broken than we could actually dreamed, but we can talk about that a little later.
No, Prosperity. We'll get to that. It's super good, but.
Let's talk about one that was 1 line of text away from being broken.
1 line of text? Yeah, okay. I was going to say it needed 1 less line of text, because that's Dichotomy. Oh,
yeah, for sure. That card was so close to being broken. And it came out at the right time. Like, for those of you who remember 2014 format, that card was... I remember reading this card. I'm like, I thought this card was insane. And then I read, like, the entire card. Where you're just sitting there and it says, I think it's you can't battle that.
I got the effect. So for anybody listening that does not know Dichotomy, because it hasn't really had any relevance since like 2014, at the start of your main phase, main phase 1, target 3 monsters with a different type in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 of them into the deck, then draw 2 cards. You can't conduct your battle phase during the turn you activate this card. So this, you see a lot of overlap with other pot cards, right? Later, we got Extravagance, who kept that at the start of your main phase restriction. But this one, unlike Extravagance, where you can fulfill the cost on turn 1, you can't target 3 monsters at the start of your main phase 1 if you're going first, right? There's no setup. So this card's dead going first. And then the battle phase is like irrelevant. So
Well, that's funny thing I thought about it too, because like the battle phase restriction's honestly not that bad. But like I thought this was gonna be like, especially back like when this card like first came out, I thought it was gonna be one of those like pot cards that aged like really, really well and would have found a way into the format. Simply because, like you said, the battle phase doesn't matter; it's more of a formality. But like, and then like I thought Yu-Gi-Oh was also gonna be a lot grindier, but obviously that's not true. But it's just I thought this card to me is great, especially like when you think about it in like combo decks, because like most combo decks anyway, especially like their extra deck, they're all different types, so it just has a nice little home. Just
Yeah,
like I said,
it's just the restriction of at the start of your main phase one and needing graveyard setup. Like we can see both of these in different pot cards. We have Avarice, which is arguably because it has no restrictions. It's just you play it down, shuffle 5 back, draw 2. And that's seeing little to no play right now, and that's because it needs setup. And then you have Extravagance, which sees a whole bunch of play, but it can't go in every deck because not every deck wants to sacrifice 6 cards from their extra.
Not 6 random cards.
Yeah, 6 random cards. Like Prosperity is so good because you can hand select which cards you want to banish. It's because game 1 you're like, okay, I know I'm not going to need this. I'm not going to need this. Whatever. I just need to see that one card.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I mean that brings us to the point where, like Dichotomy and Riches were both very, very interesting cards, right? It's just the restrictions on them. I gotta pull up Riches because I already forgot.
Riches is almost identical to Dichotomy, but it's specifically for Pendulum. Like this card was also really cool.
Yeah, so it doesn't have at the start of your main phase 1 like Dichotomy, but it says shuffle 3 Pendulum monsters into the deck from your graveyard and or extra deck face up, then draw 2. You can only activate 1 per turn. You cannot special summon the turn you activate this except Pendulum Summon, which that obviously you're not playing Pendulum Control, right? Like you can't afford to not Xyz Summon, Synchro Summon, Link Summon, whatever. You can't afford to do that in a Pendulum deck. If that, just like Dichotomy, if that last restriction was off, like the card would at least see a lot more experimentation. Because
this card.
Oh, go ahead.
This card also is like another example of a card that came out at the right time. It just didn't like adapt well, because it came out of Secrets of Eternity, I believe. Yeah, Secrets of Eternity, and at the time, a deck that could really take advantage of it was like Clifford. It's like it wasn't a traditional Pendulum deck. You know what I mean? Like it was like a stun deck, but it had Pendulum aspects, so on and so forth. The problem is you had better cards like searchable cards like Climate Change and stuff like that, and this card just didn't see any play. And then, as you were saying, the extra restriction you can't even play it in modern day Pendulum.
I like to take a look at, because you go from Greed and Avarice, which were insanely powerful and both have been banned. Like we just got Avarice back. I think we got 1 copy back in late 19, but I could be wrong. Which had no restrictions and they were just super good. And then the next like draw 2 pot card came out was Dichotomy, and they just piled on the restrictions. And it's like, okay, we don't want this to break the game. We want it to be like a get you back into the match, get your resources back, draw 2. And it was too much of a restriction. And then they kind of toned it down with Riches. They took off 1 restriction, but they added another. And it's like they're trying to feel out what restrictions they can put on a card where it's still good. And then you get to Desires, which someone at Konami was probably like, they're not going to play this. And then anything that says draw 2 where you're not restricted in the slightest, the TCG will find a way to abuse it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not even a pot card, but look at Second's Light. Just putting that out there.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you can take that argument. It's like, look at Second's Light. This card says you can't play any other spell cards besides Second's Light,
and
you draw 2 cards, right? And it's at 1.
Literally, TCG players like they skipped like the entire like paragraph of text, and all they saw was draw 2. You're like,
yeah,
that's all they saw. Plus 2.
Yeah,
and that's why I love that's hilarious.
And like that's it might as well be a pot card, right? Like it could say pot of whatever, and it has that same restriction, and that's just another, like, think about that. You are saying 1/3 of the card types you're not allowed to play, but you get to draw 2 cards, maybe 3 times a game if you're super lucky. Like,
oh yeah,
they're willing. TCG players are willing to do that. Desires, you're willing to banish 25% of your deck. Extravagance, ditch 6 cards from your extra. Prosperity, which isn't even draw 2, it's dig 6 cards in your deck and find the one you want and add it to your hand. Like, there's a reason the TCG doesn't get cards that just lets you rota anything into your hand, because it's not Magic, it's not Pokemon. You can't just be adding the key broken card that you want to look for, because that's just not good for the game, I'll be honest.
Oh no, and Yu-Gi-Oh! The problem is with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like we're at the point where like there's so many decks that have just like we'll say bomb cards, but they're all they really are just like 1-card starters. If you have like another chance to get at a 1-card starter, bro, that's just insane. And then like what makes it even worse is like a lot of the pot cards or even draw cards in general, they pay for the sins of their forefathers, because like look at like Pot of Greed, and then like we'll take it a step further and like look at like Graceful Charity, and like look what they did. And then they're just like, well, we can't do this again. And then now, like, and then you have like the dichotomies and riches, and we'll even go as far as equivalence and stuff like that. And then Konami's like, well, obviously we're putting way too much restriction, so what are we going to do now? And then you see these modern day ones. And honestly, I think like what I like about these newer pot cards versus the older pot cards, yes, they generate +1s, right? Like that's the biggest thing that we're looking for in Yu-Gi-Oh! But at the same time, it's not like an overbearing +1 is basically what it looks like. Because like you said, Extravagance can only be activated as the first card. Desires, you have to do this. Or the only one that breaks the mold on that one, and that's why I think it's the craziest pot card, is Prosperity. Because I was watching this happen the other day. I was watching a Dragon Link player just, play like he normally would. And then he got stopped halfway through his combo. And he just activated a Prosperity to dig for an extender, got it, and kept playing as if nothing happened. That's where I think they really broke the mold of like pot cards when you see that.
I agree, man. It's just cool to see, especially since you've been playing, almost the entire game's life cycle. Like I played way back. I saw the first 2 release, Greed, Avarice, and I think Generosity, but like who cares about that card? We don't acknowledge that card's existence.
It's a pot card, but like it's a pot card no one wanted.
Yeah, but like you look at Disparity, right? In the artwork, it's half of Generosity. Like it's just funny how like it still is a pot card and it's part of the whatever lore they're trying to do. But it's cool seeing the evolution. And I when you wanted to talk about this topic, I was thinking like, what are some things Konami can do to push this envelope even further, or make just more niche draw cards? Because I mean that's pretty much what they're doing, right? Like these restrictions are heavy, right? Not every deck can afford to play Desires. Not every deck can play Extravagance. Like I would say Extravagance is pretty like extremely limited in the decks that can play it, but usually the decks that can play Extravagance or can't play Extravagance can play Desires, right? So it's like,
oh, absolutely.
What's another niche pot card that they can do?
Well, let's see. The popular theme right now is you're restricting like actual like extra deck play, but I mean that's kind of hard to like say, because there's like, let me think here.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, right? It's what is too much, because the second you put one extra restriction on that makes it too hard to play or too hard to fulfill that restriction, it like no one's going to play it. It's just a blank card.
It's actually crazy to think about, because the only thing I can think of like in game that like you could give up, because a lot of decks have like the common like thing like they don't need the extra deck, but they've already printed 2 cards like that. They printed one that's a generic +1, and then they basically printed a second one that says, "Let me cherry pick a card out of my deck." that we've already seen where we give up like not consistency, but we give up longevity in the game for a quick +1 in desires. Grave manipulation we already have in terms of avarice, dichotomy. I mean, it's hard to think of a new bot card.
Yeah, and it's like you can't say life points, right? Because life points don't matter. And then
that would be crazy. Imagine paying half your life to draw 2.
Fuck it, that's totally worth it. I'll play 3 in a turn.
You can always pay half.
Half's always live, man. And then you're looking at, the hand. It's like, okay, do I discard like discard 2, draw 4, like discard 2 as cost, right? Is that, or not discards, send, right? You're never discarding.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can't discard.
The only thing I can think of is you could print one that forces you to give up your draw phase, but you already see that in cards like, for example, number 61, Dugaris, the Timeless. It has an effect similar to that. And then you also see it in even before that, you see it in its predecessor, Reckless Greed. You draw 2, skip your next 2 draw phases.
Yeah, the problem with that is it requires effort, right? You have to go out of your way to make Dugaris. You have to set Reckless Greed, right? Could you imagine a combo deck just draw 2, skip my next draw phase, whatever, I don't care, the game's not going to go that long?
That might actually just break the game. Could you imagine? That's the only thing I can think of, a pot card that lets you skip a phase for like a quick +1. Bro, that'd be crazy. I want it. Can we get it? Can I get pot of skip my phase? I want it.
I mean, there's there's some you never know. Like, that's the beauty about card design. You never know what can come up. Like, they could do something like excavate 10 cards, like your opponent picks 2 and adds them to your hand. Like, it could be something like absurd like that. Like, you don't get to pick the cards. Like, your opponent can pick them for you, and then that completely shifts deck building, right? Like, I'm going first, my opponent, like, I'm not going to put hand traps in or dead cards. Like, it's going to be all gas, so that every time I play this card, my opponent has to give me good cards. Yeah. Right?
Low key though, if this is how Konami R&D works, you think we should apply?
Who knows, man? But like, think about that. That's another card that would completely shift deck building, because if you're playing that card, it requires your opponent to say, I'm giving you these 2 cards out of your deck, right? So I'm not going to play any bad cards, or else
it's like this. You can have this, but I'm comboing. I'm just not stopping.
Man, that's an interesting one. And then, like the messing with your hand, like, is it worth a draw 2 if your pot card, like the send 2 cards from your hand as cost, draw 2 cards, right? Is it worth taking an ash on that, right? You're down to 2 cards.
That's a high risk, high reward.
That's how I, like, with Graceful Charity, I never want to see that card eroded, because if they did something like that, it just completely, Graceful Charity is not a draw, it's a hand sculpting card, right? Like, Graceful Charity is so fucking good in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Like, yeah, it says draw 3, discard 2, but what it's really saying is just cherry pick your hand, and that's not something we need in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
I tell you one thing I would like to see, but I think we'll never see it because I think it might just be too hard to actually get towards. But a middle ground between like duality and disparity, because like duality, I know, like when it was released, I think it was Duelist Revolution. It was released. I remember like people started playing it in every single deck because it just added like consistency. Like, yeah, you can't special summon for the turn, but you get to like search for like a card in your deck essentially because you can see the top 3. And then if you think about it, prosperity is everything duality wanted to be, but you're giving up extra deck cards to do it. I would like to see a middle ground between those 2 cards, but I don't think for a pot card at least. I don't think that's possible because there's no way you can do it without it either being like super like handicapped or like just broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Any pot card, like we haven't talked much about duality. Like, duality was an insane card when it was first printed, but any pot card that restricts special summoning, anything that restricts special summoning for you needs to be like insane, right? That takes the scopes of the decks that can play it and completely narrows it down to decks you probably don't want to play against anyway. Right, you got the stun control, like the cheese. I'm not gonna let you play decks. Like nobody likes that. But then you take that restriction away, and duality is just absolutely insane. Right, it's half of this prosperity. So when you're saying middle ground, like, do you want to see something that banishes 3 from the extra and lets you like excavate? Like,
Not even that is like because obviously like duality is probably like one of like the most ultimate consistency cards, and like disparity just like essentially what it does. It kicks it into overdrive, and like you're gonna go 3 deeper than what duality does, and there's no restriction in special summoning. So like I said, it's just crazy in combo decks. But like duality, like obviously at the time it was crazy, but like it's super toned down, and like there's no middle ground in between that. Like I don't mind like seeing like the top 3 cards of your deck for free, but you can only do like so much in a turn or something like that. Like
yeah,
I don't know, something like that, because like there's some cards like not even like necessarily floodgate cards, but like there's cards that let you only like let's do Numeron Network for a moment here, right? When you activate it, it's copying Numeron Calling, and it lets you summon Numerons up to, I think it's like up to 4 Numeron cards, but then you can only summon once more that turn or something like that. You know what? Like
yeah,
that might be the only thing they could print in a like a duality / like prosperity hybrid. Like yeah, you could reveal like, well, let's find a middle ground. Let's say you can reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. You can add one to your hand, but you can only like search once more that turn, or you can only summon once more, like something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think anything that's generically adding with like a limited cost, like no heavy cost, right? Not heavy cost. I'm talking about the desires and extravagance, where you are sacrificing possible plays to get that advantage.
Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say, we're probably not gonna see a spiritual successor to duality, like a card's good, it's cemented, but that's an interesting idea, limiting the amount of summons you can do, because that's obviously where the advantage gaining cards gets abused in the TCG. Is the summoning mechanics are so fast and so free these days that if you're not restricted on the summons, it's just going to go sec as light, right?
Every time.
So if it's like there's a small cost and you get to draw 2 cards, but you're limited to X number of summons, whatever summon that is, it could be 5, so that you can still get nibbed. Who knows, right? But whatever that is, like that's an interesting way to look at it, because you have this advantage, but maybe you can't capitalize on it this turn, or maybe you can because you're playing Dogmatica, fucking Eldritch. Or invoked Eldritch, right? Where you're not spamming monsters. But there always needs to be that oversight, like how does this pair with other draw cards? Because the second you get draw into draw into draw, like terraforming into chicken game into upstart into chicken game, like that's where you're crossing a line with deck building. Right. So,
Chicken game was like the world's biggest mistake. There's like pay 1,000 life points, draw a card. Oh, yeah. I can give up life points for cards.
You can play 31 cards in your deck because you have 3 upstart, 3 chicken game, 3 terraforming. Like, sweet.
Oh yeah.
And then have that in Sky Striker, broken.
Bro, chicken game and Sky Striker, I'm sick. I'm sick.
But yeah, just something to think about. I actually think that would be a very cool concept for the next card, is limiting the amount of summons you can do, because Extravagance already says you can't draw, right? Prosperity already says you can't do something. I honestly don't remember because I don't own them.
You can draw cards the turn you activate it, and you can only deal half damage.
Yeah, so you can't draw cards the turn you activate it. Fair.
You can still kill them. You just have to put a lot of damage.
As long as Konami keeps these pot cards that are coming out, they're good standalone cards, and they don't play well with the other pot cards, like that's fine by me, right? A good draw 2 with a cost or a restriction is nothing. It's not a problem until it's free.
You start stringing them together is when it's really like gonna suck.
But
that's gonna happen though. You know, they're gonna release the pot card that works well with one of these pot cards, and it's just gonna be insane.
Yeah. But that's all the time we have for this week's discussion. It went a lot better than I thought. You know, it was really fun to talk about. It was really fun to take a look back in Yu-Gi-Oh! All the way back to Pot of Greed and up to the newly released Pot of Prosperity. Joe, you got any thoughts about the topic that we talked about today?
I think the evolution of pot cards is probably one of the coolest things in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I've thought of in a long time.
Yeah.
Just kind of think like the decade, more or less over a decade if I think about it.
Oh, Argosis, this isn't a pot lore discussion. We're not talking about the flip monsters. We're not talking about the random goblin that's doing a bunch of stuff for the jar cards. This is just the evolution of the pot cards. But guys, if you have enjoyed this podcast, please.
Oh, one other thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't forget Douglas French has no sauce.
Piccolo, you have no sauce. No. Hey.
Guys, if you have enjoyed, please remember we post these podcasts every week, same time, same place, 8 a.m. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, 10 a.m. YouTube. We do stream these. Next week we will not be streaming them because we're actually recording that sometime during this week because I will be on the road next weekend, so I won't be able to record. But if you do want to check us out and you don't know where to do so, check the Discord. We got a good community growing, nothing crazy, but there's people in there. You can talk shit. You can tell Joe that he sucks at the game just like everybody else. You can tell Doug he's got no sauce. It's all good fun. So check out the Discord in the description. Check out youtube.com/theduelfactory, and I will see you guys back here next week. Peace out.
Okay, bye.
All right, first half done.
DONE.
Chat, how was that? That was pretty fun to talk about. Holy fuck, we got like 10 people in here.
Hell yeah, we do. That's what I like to hear. One more and I got 14 days off work, right?
Hell yeah.
That's what I like to hear. Wow, you really do have 10 viewers. How about that?
I need to change this.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, Doug? You can't just come in here and be doing stuff, man.
Sure you do.
You're in the middle of recording. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
Nah, we just finished the first one.
I know. I was listening.
I figured. You like that midstream ban?
Yeah, that was funny. I didn't see what the person said, though, because I was playing Destiny, and then I looked over, and they're like, just ban him. And I was like, oh, shit. Somebody got removed. What did he say?
I don't know. Something about jizz or cum or something.
Oh. It's probably Ice. What's the fuck his name is?
Nah, it's not Ice Melody.
That dude's got problems.
All right, so retro formats is the next one, right?
Hell yeah, we can talk about my favorite format. The best format. 2014 format.
You're going to love that one.
I'm going to just be well, I can't say that on Twitch, but I can't use the gamer word, though. It's upsetting. Alright, you're not supposed to use the gamer word anyway, but...
This is true.
God damn it.
2002 format.
Coronavirus!
I will never sit down and play 2002 format. Absolutely not.
2002 format's awful, but I only play it because Kyle loves 2002 format, and I can't tell the homie no. Shout outs to Kyle. Hey, I can breathe again. We're not psych.
Yeah. So, did you guys see my podcast idea for you?
What was the podcast idea again? I remember reading it.
It was like why certain cards are people's favorite cards. And I was just thinking you could talk about, of course, there's the protagonist cards from the anime.
I'm confused. Why isn't everyone's favorite card
but
the Atlantean Prince?
Because it's.
But the other
water.
thing is,
no one likes water.
I was thinking that lots of people have favorite cards because of like some specific event that happened pertaining to that card, or just using that card as like a fallback.
Yeah.
And so it might give you guys an opportunity for like anecdotal podcasts.
If we did that, I would like to have like you and like Ray or Aaron to like talk about theirs because like that's something like I have my couple cards I could talk about. Joe has his. Like we can speculate a little bit, but we're probably not gonna get more than like 20 minutes out of that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have like 3 or 4 people, you only have to fill like 5 to 10 minutes each.
I vote we get Gromans in on this one day. I miss Gromans.
Will he do it?
All right, Doug, you wanna either mute or drop out?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute so that I can still hear you though.
Here,
All
hold
right,
on real
but-
quick. There it is. Let me take some allergy medication. Maybe that'll stop my sneezing. Because this is getting ridiculous. It's like I'm doing fucking coke without the coke.
Stop doing coke off hookers, man. Specifically,
You can't
with
prove,
your
one, you
asses.
can't prove that I'm doing that. 2, it's a perfectly fine profession. And 3, maybe I just fucking like coke.
Yeah, everybody likes coke, man.
All right, let's start it.
All right, before we do, what are some talking points you want to talk about? Like,
The popularity in retro formats, how it directly affects, like, for example, the secondary market, your favorite topic in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes, the
And
secondary
then
market.
if you have like a favorite format, let's just talk about like why you like that format. Because I know how much you love Zoo format.
Yeah, everybody does.
Well, we'll agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree. Agree or disagree.
Hell yeah.
All right. Joe, do you do Diet Coke off strippers?
Bro, why is my dad in the chat? I just saw Diet Coke and I immediately assumed. There's no reason not to do Diet Coke off strippers, though, if we're being 100% honest. But anywho, back to our regularly scheduled meeting. Big ol' dinosaurs. Hey, I guess any like a boss. Why a girl look like Red Cross? Hey. Sorry. Oh, you motherfucker, you left.
All right, I got my favorites binder nearby so I can look at it.
Your favorites binder?
Yeah, it's got all my cool stuff in it.
Got all my cool stuff. Like, this is my Sky Striker Ace Ray. And this is Sky Striker Ace Rose. But I like Ray because he's got thick thighs. Ooh, woo.
Yeah, it's
That's
got
That's
ulti,
exact.
it's got my
that is
ulti
literally-
Dridents in it, man.
Bro,
Keep
that's
it-
literally a real life account of how John actually sounds when he's at locals and he draws Ray for turn. Not gonna lie.
Konami just needs to let me activate or summon ulti Drident.
Look, I'm okay with you summoning Ulti Dryden. It's the tryhard sweaties and rule sharks at other events that are gonna tell you no. Plus Konami, even though based out of, Japania, won't let you play the motherland cards on US soil.
All right,
Doesn't make any sense.
let's get this started.
Oh yeah, brother. Paul Revere's on the way, boys. He's not bringing news of the British. He's bringing dick.
What is up, guys? Bingo here. I'm with the Duel Factory for another episode of X2 Drop, our Yu-Gi-Oh podcast we do every week, talking about something in the trading card game. And before I get into this week's topic, I want to mention that the Duel Factory is still doing his thing, uploading consistently over on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Duel Factory. If you enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh deck profiles or anything else he might be doing, go check him out. And if you want to be part of the podcast discussion or part of the community to put your voice out there, feel free to join the Discord. The link's in the description of wherever you're watching. And you can get in there and tell the sauceless French that he does, in fact, have no sauce. So,
come on, you tell sauceless French he has no sauce.
Yeah.
Get in there.
So this week's topic is retro formats, and this is growing in popularity in the current TCG. Personally, I think it's due to everyone being bored. It usually happens when we have long formats or no events, and it's officially been over a year since our last YCS, which is pretty crazy. But again, as most weeks, Joe, this is your topic. Why did you want to talk about it?
Those retro formats in Yu-Gi-Oh are dope. Like, I don't know what it is, but a lot of times, okay, So current format, we're always bitching about it, right? Because we're just tired of having to deal with something. But then like a year goes by, and then you have a greater appreciation for the previous formats and stuff like that because something else degenerate came out. And then as more and more years go by, you're like, man, I really miss playing that format. And I'm not gonna lie, especially like when you get like reprints of like old cards and like higher rarities, it's just fun to take a look at the past cards and stuff like that, and just look how pretty your deck could have been.
Yeah, so I've come to a realization like every format sucks until it's over, according to like every Yu-Gi-Oh player ever. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody looks back at like when Zoo became relevant, right? When we got Trident back at 1, everybody's like so hyped about Zoo being good again, and then now it's actually like playable and people are sick of Zeus, right?
No, they're sick of Zeus. They're not sick of Zoo.
Yeah, that's what I said, but it is the best engine to play Zeus in. And it constantly happens. Like, who hated playing against BA or Necros? And they're like fan favorite. They're the hero rogue decks that people love to see do well. Why do you think that is?
Oh, why are they here? That's crazy to me because I remember living through 2015 Nationals where like BA and Necros were everywhere. And one, I was sick and tired of playing Necros mirrors, especially because we had been doing it for like, I don't know, a couple months prior. So then I switched over to BA, and then I got tired of playing BA mirrors, and I just got like disgusted with the format. And now several years later, like half the time when we sit in here and then you'll just randomly start spouting Necros, I'm like, hell yeah, I want to play some Necros format. And we have 2015 Necros decks built. And like, it's just crazy because like, those cards did like a very specific thing, and I don't think we appreciated it as much at the time as when they were actually like a playable deck. I think is the biggest thing that like gives like some retro formats some appeal, because like there's a certain way you played the game, you know.
Well, we'll get into other formats besides Zoo and Necros, right? But it's me talking, so. But just look at Necros format, like the actual format. It was super expensive to get into. Super short printed to pull the cards, so there's already this bad taste in your mouth when you're playing it, and it's like the best deck in the room, right? So no one that can't afford it is gonna enjoy that deck. Like, they might like the way it plays, but they're gonna have a bad taste in their mouth. And then you got people that can finally get the deck a couple of years later when let's say it gets reprinted or the cards just bottom out. Like Brios were like $20 for the longest time. Valks were like 25. And they finally pick it up and they're like, man, this deck's awesome. And then it's just like everybody is building up to like missing the deck. It's crazy.
It literally happens every time.
Why do you think right now retro formats and the discussion of which formats to play is coming more relevant right now?
I think it's because it's like, I think one of the big reasons, and I notice it a lot whenever I play the game, is like you like playing retro formats because it takes you back at a point of the game where like Yu-Gi-Oh was still played as it was intended, right? Like you're supposed to be able to interact with your opponent. You go back and forth in turns and stuff like that. And you actually play the game between the two people. It's not like one person comboing off or another person just flipping a floodgate and the other person just not having any fun, right? It takes you back to a period where like Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't want to say it was at its golden age, but it was more designed as it was originally intended, is the best way to explain.
Yeah, and everybody has their different golden age, right? For you, it's 2014 Yu-Gi-Oh. For me, I honestly don't know when that is. Like I have a crazy nostalgic feel towards like 2004, like Chaos Emperor Dragon, Yatagarasu, like pre-ban list era, but I don't want to go out and play that. But for me, the first event or the first format where I just had so much fun with the game was Zoo format, and that's obviously significantly later than 2014 format. It was in 2017. The game's evolved a lot. It's gotten a lot faster and totally different format. But for me, that's what I look back on. I'm like, man, that's the best fucking Yu-Gi-Oh ever. And it's just cool to see what format is each person's favorite, because depending on how long they've been playing, what their favorite decks are, it very easily could be something like I had somebody tell me it was like Bujins when it was like they were in their prime. I'm like, that just sounds awful. But good for you, man.
I remember that deck. What is it? We had just got not Yamato. We just got what was his name? Mikazuchi, and it topped a YCS or something like that. I think it was like YCS Chicago before the hands and stuff came out. That's actually hilarious. But no, I'm not gonna lie, I did like me some Zoo format.
So,
I think I got spoiled on one card starters, but that shit was dope.
Yeah, we'll come back to Zoo format because I like doing that. But somebody brought up an interesting point. Rush, he said Rush Duels has something to do with it in his opinion, which I actually haven't been following Rush Duels at all. I know all the rules, but I honestly don't know the card pool or like why that would impact that. Do you know anything about that, Joe?
I literally know zero about Rush Duels.
Yeah.
Like, I am the worst person to ask about this. I'm caught with my pants down. I apologize.
So if you're still here, I'm not even going to try to say your name. I think it's Firet. Let me elaborate a little bit more, and we'll get back to that. But yeah, I like Zoo format so much because the one card starters, the combo every turn, but it's not like break my board combo. It's break it, rebuild, resource management. Small interactions make big impact 2 turns from now. Like, that's why I liked it, right?
Oh, Zoo format, for me personally, why I liked it, especially one, because I had all the Zoo cards to play at the time, so I got to play the entire format, not just part of it. But what I really, really liked about it was because you had one card engines, deck building was at like an incredible level of creativity because you could like pack so many different cards that like you could play all these hand traps, you could play all these tech cards and stuff like that, and you had to really like make your 1-for-1 like trades with your opponent like really count. Like, obviously you had blowout cards like Dimensional Barrier and stuff like that, but at some point those became irrelevant because then you started having cards like the True Draco cards and stuff like that let you play through those types of cards very, very well. So then it really came down to who honestly managed their resources better is what it ultimately came down to, and that's when you started seeing like the players who were like really, really good at the game, and then it started to like really shine. Like, you saw a bunch of like older players start playing it again too, because it reminded them of like formats where like you had to like manage your resources. That's why I like formats so much.
I mean, there was no I win button. Now sometimes you did win just because of a debarrier flip, like it happens, but if your opponent debarriers you set a debarrier, you shut their turn off, or they max C you set a debarrier, you shut their turn off, and it's like, it's not always like game over. There was no like instant win button. Sometimes there was a trap spell masterpiece on the other side of the field and you were playing pure zoo and you just drew suboptimal, and it's like, okay, well, I lose now. But that didn't happen very often. I'm not sitting down and going second, didn't draw a hand trap, and I feel like I can't play. That's why I look back at the zoo format so positively. You are 2014 Nationals, right?
2014 Nationals is by far my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh format, by far.
So explain a little bit. Like, I know there's a lot of playable decks, but like, what makes that the best
that right
format
there,
for you?
2014 National format, if I had to think of actual playable decks in that format, it's literally over 10. But 2014 National, okay, so my absolute favorite part, because we had just got done with a year of like just a Dragon Ruler format, which I love. Dragon Ruler is by far my favorite Tier 0 format, but we're not going to get into that. But you had gone from this very like super oppressive format where there was only like 1, maybe 2 playable decks if you had the judgments for spell books, so on and so forth, and there's Ravine, really yada yada yada. You went from that to a completely open field, and it wasn't like, oh, I just like +7. No, like you were generally playing decks that had to like grind out like true +1s, 1-for-1 trades. You had to play around back row, which is something we hadn't had to do in Yu-Gi-Oh! In a very long time at that point. Like, it brought back every single aspect of the game that everyone loves. And every deck had its niche. Now, obviously, there was... what I find hilarious, like, when people play as retro formats, we all agree to take a timeout from Infernity, because that was, like, the first, like, true fishbowl deck, and we all hate the Infernity. Let's be real. But, like, every single game, you had to actually play and think. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I'll play against, like, Doug in, like, 2014 Nationals format. We're just playing hack. and I have to think about to myself, all right, I have these 6 cards in hand. How do I play against a live bottomless, a live trap trick trapple nightmare? And then you have like the wild card trap cards that like people were teching in, like needle ceilings, like a huge blowout card, and that because like it's just broken in gear gear, but you play in other decks. So like it's the fact that we had like at that point what I think was like a very large card pool to have to play around. You only had 15 cards in your side deck, so you had to be able to cover what you thought was generally going to be seen in the field, and you still had like big like impactful decks like Lightsworn Ruler was a really cool one because you're just summoning big monsters and like your extra deck was just being thrown into like your opponent's interactions and you just drop bomb cards like JD, right? Like there's a little bit of everything in that format, and that's why I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, and like I've tried to jump back into that format, and it's a lot to learn. Like there's so much going on between all of the different decks available. Like if you didn't play that format, it might not be the most friendly format to jump back to and learn because there is a lot to learn, right?
It was never actually like, what is it? The format to me is like it was never solved. That's why I like playing it so much.
Yeah. So Fire jumped back to us and he said he thinks Rush Duels is impacting it because you're playing all these old cards, you know, Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, Red Eyes. And it, like we were saying, it's a lot more back and forth. You get to draw 5 cards every time you normal summon, or something like, you know, Rush Duel mechanics. And there's a lot of back and forth, right? So people are just missing that. So that's a good point. It could be impacting it. The retro format that everybody knows, we're going to talk about it briefly because I feel like we're obligated to, is Go format, right?
Goats. I hate fucking Go format.
See, I don't mind playing it. I actually really enjoy playing it when we're just chilling, right? Like I'm in the card shop, it's like midnight, and we're just kind of hanging out and shooting the shit, and somebody's got 2 goat decks, and we're like, I'm not sitting there tactically playing goats. I'm not putting money down on the table. Like I don't see the appeal to that.
See, my problem is I play Go format and I have to play for money. It's the only way to play, let's be real.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I enjoy it. Goats is a really good way to learn interactions. It's becoming less and less like play Goat to learn the mechanics because obviously we have so many more mechanics that aren't in that format. But you do learn good quality interactions and resource management by playing that. So
Go format's a really good format for returning players or new players to the game because, like I said, it teaches you all like the basic things in Yu-Gi-Oh that you need to know. My problem with Goat format and why I don't like it so much is I think it's like compared to what we're used to, Goat format's so boring. Like you sit there and like like you play around like the Stuka interactions, you have to play around like Sangin, like stuff like that, but like it's basically just all like small ball, like you would see in like baseball and stuff like that, where they like it's just. That's not fun to me.
Like I'll enjoy playing a match here, but I'm not gonna sit down and play like 2 hours of Goat, right? It's there's only so much that you can enjoy if you're if you enjoy playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Now, if you're stuck in 2004 and you want to play that format, go for it. But like that's not fun for me anymore if I'm doing it too much. It's just not how I enjoy playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
I don't know. I will give Goat format credit for one thing. It does feed into my max rarity, need.
Yeah, and Goat is really good for collectors. Like, if you want a project, like find a Goat deck you really like, and then max rarity it, right? If they have a Korean prismatic that is, those random obscure rarities, like get your Alti BLS. Like shit like that. Like it's a fun project. But this goes to show like how different tastes, how everybody has different tastes on what their favorite format is. Because how many people have you met where they're just like, yeah, fucking Goat format. And you're just like, all right, dude, I just want to play like a modern game or an advanced format, whatever they actually call it. So
coronavirus.
You don't have coronavirus anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
So what are some other formats that you could see popping up as fan favorites?
I've been seeing a lot of people talk about 2011 format, or better known as Tengu Plant format.
Yeah, that one was that
Damn
one.
it.
There was a couple of guys at this locals I'm at that loved Tengu Plant format. Why do you think that one's popping up?
Mainly because our Lord and Savior Billy Brake was like the king of fucking 2011 because he won back-to-back YCSs with Tengu Plants, and like that deck, that was like when XYZs were just like getting introduced, but like you still had like big like synchro and stuff like that, and like the deck's ideas. It was the last time when we were playing in Yu-Gi-Oh! That was honestly like before archetypes started dominating the game. It's like one of the best ways to describe it. Because like you had decks like Tengu playing, where it's just like Reborn Tengu and like a bunch of good cards that you threw into a deck and they were all good together. And that was the last time before that, because like after that, then you start seeing like archetypes like start driving the game.
Yeah,
Because you had like wind ups, or you had Insector, or like things like that. Like they're all inside their own archetype. And after that, it was all a wrap at that point.
yeah, and something we could talk about down the road is, was Yu-Gi-Oh shifting towards archetype based product like a good decision, which I think it does with a game without a rotation. I feel like you need to narrow the scope of card design a little bit and release them in like little blocks, but that's a discussion for another day. But 2011 format, I've played a couple of games. It was pretty hard for me to grasp what I was trying to do because I only played two games of it, and I've never seen the decks before. But it didn't seem overly complicated. It seemed hard to like perfect because it was a mirror match, and I was just like, what am I doing? But
2011 format's kind of weird too, because like it was like one of the last years that like we still had priority in Yu-Gi-Oh, which was like a big deal.
Priority's crazy.
Yeah, you still had priority. You got to draw for your first turn. Well, there was some crazy like you saw cards like Trap Dust Shoot and stuff like that's illegal in that format, which was crazy. But and then you have like cards like Tour Guide and stuff like that introduced, and that's where you start seeing more modern day Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, like it had a little bit of everything, and then like nothing was like super overbearing until like you obviously got to the Tengu Plant deck. But I mean, Billy Brake, Lord and Savior, he's also known as Jesus Christ.
So, an interesting way to look at it is what are some formats you could see people not wanting to ever go back to? I got two in mind. I wanna hear what you think of.
Edison format. Edison format was fucking awful.
I'm not even familiar with what it is.
Don't worry about it. Just know losing your hand's not fun. It was not fun for anyone.
Is that not wind up loop format?
No. Wind up format's more like 2012 with like Dino Rabbit and stuff like that. But Edison format, you had like you lost your hand. There was Dark Strike Fighter, FTK. Like
okay. I do know what you're talking about now. Yeah, that sounds awful.
There was you still had Rescue Cat and Airbellum was like ripping cards. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, so the one I'm thinking of is Goki format. I don't think people are just going to enjoy playing Goki mirrors. That just sounds absolutely terrible. Whatever iteration, if you're talking Extra Link Lock or if you're talking...
Twist Cobra, what do you mean? I don't want you to play at all.
Yeah, so just play Goki format by yourself because it's the same thing. Just flip a coin.
Two Gokis, and you're losing 4 cards, and you don't get a play? I love it. Droll me. I want you to droll me
to play Goki format, you just need to sit down at a table by yourself, flip a coin, call it. If you call it wrong, you move on to the next game. And if you called it right, do your Goki combo, and then go on to the next game.
I love it. I get to judge how good you are if you play droll against me. I love it.
So, I mean that's one I was thinking of. And then I didn't play during then, but I think 2016 Nationals, it seems like a pretty bad format.
2016. Okay, I'll give you that one. 2016 Nationals format. Let's see here. That was BAPK or PK Fire. Monarch, which I absolutely fucking hate Monarch. And then you had Cosmo, which Cosmo deck was kind of cool, and I not cool at the time, and then you had this really weird pendulum hybrid that like played Secret Village of the Spellcasters and Kieran. Try fucking dealing with that shit. Especially because that's when we still had the non-targeting fucking Unicorn of Justice. But I don't know. I like me and my buddy Jordan Lee, or the Maxi Lee, as some of you may know. We were just like, you know what, Monarchs is the best deck. We're just gonna play it at an event, and I'll never forget having to play 5 Monarch mirrors in a row, and I just absolutely hate it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's one format, and I've seen people talk about this next one, which blows my mind because I want absolutely nothing to do with this format ever again, and this is coming from a Zodiac fanboy, and that's Fusion Sub Zoo format.
Fusion Sub Zoo, let's go!
Why on earth would you ever want to go back to reliving that format?
Bro, it's fantastic because they're just doing Fusion Sub combo, and they just don't respect Retaliating Sea. I love it so fucking much.
Yeah, they're doing Fusion Sub combo for the first time in 2 years, and they took 10 minutes to do it back then, and now it's like, oh my god. Watching somebody do Fusion Sub combo that wasn't good at doing Fusion Sub combo was the worst feeling in the world.
I love whenever we're sitting down, my favorite thing, you sat down, they watch him make a Broad Bull, and then you watched them just add Black Sheep. That old Salt, the Energy Body originally just re-enters it and just reminds you how much you hate you. I love the fucking feeling.
Yeah.
It feels so good. It's me.
See, that's a format I would go back and play if I was ever super salty at like modern Yu-Gi-Oh. I would go back, play a couple games of Fusion Sub-Zoo, and remember how good we have it right now.
I think my favorite part of Fusion Sub-Zoo is you could find the Yu-Gi-Oh players that committed domestic violence at home. You could find them, and it was beautiful.
All right, so I gave a couple of examples of formats I wouldn't want to go back and play. What are some of you got?
Let's see here. So I don't want to play Edison format ever again. What was my least favorite?
What year did Blue Eyes win Nationals? Because that format sucks too.
Well, you like Dick, so there's that. A format that I honestly did not like. So the time before Dragon Ruler, so 2013, then like the 6 months like before that, when Windup was going around shock locking the shit out of people.
Oh, yeah.
I used to hate sitting there, and like I was a Mermail player, right? Like my entire deck is like all monster effects.
Yeah,
and like
you don't
like
you don't like Baby VFD?
Nah, Baby VFD sucks. Nah, that card's worse than VFD.
That card's better than VFD.
That card's insane. But like you're just sitting there and you're just like your deck like thrives on going second because like Megalo just goes for game and I fucking love it. But then like your opponent's like, I summon Wind-Up Magician, activate shock, and you're just like, you son of a bitch. Like you just sit there and you just watch them shock lock the shit out of you. And it's just like the worst feeling. And then it's like, this is awful.
Yo, Shockmaster is an absolutely insane card in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, can you imagine if we had that card legal?
Oh, yeah. Like, it was... Oh, there is one other format that I would hate to play again. And it was literally the day after... Not the day after, but, like, literally right after 2014 Nationals format when we got Duelist Alliance. And we only had Shadal, Satellanite, and BA. I fucking hate Super Poly Shadals. All that fucking format was cancer.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just fall into it. Like, you're sitting there playing, like, because I love playing Shadal. And, like, it just first became legal. But could you imagine playing the game correctly just to lose to a top deck Super Poly because your opponent's a virgin?
Yeah, super fucking... That card's crazy. It's so weird. Like, that card's so strong. It warps product release because, like, I'm just thinking about how are they going to release a good fusion deck that isn't like this name and this name to make this monster?
Joke's on you, they don't.
Yeah, they just can't. If they're like, hey, a dark monster plus X archetype monster. Like,
Bro, I hate saying that too, because I just love Shaddoll, and mainly because like it just reminds me of how like Mermail played, but it's like it's everything Mermail wanted to be. But like, fuck, that is so goddamn hard to play. Because one, like here's like what I remember about it. Right, you're already like struggling enough to play around cards like Shaddoll Fusion, but then you have to find a way to play around Super Poly as well. So like you're scared. Like I remember sitting there just playing mirror matches, and you're just scared to fuse. Like if you're not fusing, you're losing, and you're like, but I don't want to lose to this card. This is awesome.
Oh man, you know the guys that are like, you ask them what their favorite format is, and they're like full power Pepe.
Well, so they like men. That's
and
why.
And you just like smile, turn around, and never go back there again.
Well, I mean, there's people who, I mean, to be fair, I only got 10 days with the format, but I absolutely love dark matter rulers, and people look at me like I'm a fucking psychopath.
Well, that is true.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you want Engage back to 1, but we're not going to talk about that.
Engage is perfectly fine coming to 1.
Bro, we had full power.
I don't care. I don't care what you say. Just it's fine. It's fine to come back to 1.
It was full power striker, and you chose to play. Oh my god!
And I chose to do what?
You just chose to play striker. We were playing midfield breaker. And
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It turns all your good cards off.
Doesn't matter.
You're like, oh, look at all these sweet hand traps open. Your opponent's like, activate midfield, summon Suprex, and you just want to shoot yourself. Like, why do you want to put yourself through that?
Actually, if you remember correctly, I actually basically completely stopped playing all of Goki format.
I mean, no, you're not wrong. But then he came back, and then I got to bully you at that regional with Thunder.
You say bully, and you fucking barely won.
It was the clapping, and that's how it's going to be told.
All right. Well, we're at 28 minutes. Past formats are really fun if you haven't invested in one. I don't think about doing it. It's really hard to lose value on cards that have already lost value. So if you enjoyed a past format such as Necros or whatever else we talked about today, I can't even remember. Pick them up. Use that as a tool if you got a guy trying to learn the game. You know that format pretty well. Have 2 versions of that deck built and just sit down and play that format. Joe, you got anything to add on the topic?
Retro formats are fun, man. It's a good way to actually, like, especially like if you think you're struggling and like an aspect of the game, if you go back, you can always find a format where that was actually just like thriving or like a like major game strategy. Just go back and play it. And then just adapt it to modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! Trust me. So I can't tell you how many times I watch old game footage from like ARGs and stuff like that, and like you just learn so much stuff from like past formats. Also, Douglas French still has no sauce to this day.
You have no sauce. No. Hey.
Yeah, so one thing we didn't talk about is like retro formats being supported formally. I think that would be a fun topic of discussion down the road. Like, what if Konami supported retro formats? Now, we did do something similar to that a while back on alternate formats, but I think we can approach this and have a good conversation down the road. If you guys are interested in that topic or something along the lines that brings discussion into the game that isn't just talking about the ban list, feel free to check us out. Same time, same place, every single week, 8 a.m. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, 10 a.m. on YouTube. Reminder, if you like deck profiles or anything else the Duel Factory does, check them out, youtube.com/duelfactory. And if you want to let us know what you want us to talk about, there is a section in the Discord called Podcast Ideas. Feel free to join the Discord, post an idea in there, and then be a part of the community.
And John will promptly ignore it.
I absolutely will not. I'll probably hit the little react button. So, guys, if you have enjoyed, I will see you back here next week. All right? Peace out.
Okay, bye.
Well, that was fun.
It was interesting.
Good job, guys.
Hey, Sauceless French, how are you?
I'm fine.
Sauceless French. No sauce, bro. Come on.
Somebody's hiding it from me. I don't know what's going on.
Can't even find like I don't know, like Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce or something. Like, come on, bro.
Sweet
not
Baby
even in the
Ray's
Sweet Baby
barbecue
Ray's.
sauce.
That really got no sauce. He don't get any like a boss. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh shit, he's watching the match. And oh, imagine that. He's got Dark Magician as the fucking place.
I just clicked the top one.
What a virgin.
So wait, are you saying the best one's the top one?
I don't know. Just remember, Doug, sometimes we out here. Other times we out here getting it. Right now we just out here.
I mean, I'm always getting something.
Alright, I just want you to know Paul Revere's coming. He's not bringing news with the British.
What's he bringing?
The dick.
Oh shit. I don't want it.
Too fucking bad.
I don't
Should
give
we
my
switch
consent.
chats so like CJ can join the chat?
No. Let's keep
Yes.
it old school. Yeah.
CJ, come back. Go.
Welcome to the cut. It's time to nut.
I enjoyed that.
No, thank you.
No, you're not trying to get your rocks off.
Douglas Finch is
no
kind
way,
of
man.
gay. Douglas Finch is super gay. Super gay.
Just pull up that picture of Aldo as Thanos. That'll help you out.
You think so?
I'm good, thank you.
I don't know what happened to that one.
It can stay wherever it is.
Just let it die. Just let it die.
You
Who
can
keeps
always
getting in and
try
out of
to-
the cut? Either get in the cut or don't stay in the cut.
I will fight you.
Find me right now, pussy.
But you won't.
You'd be right.
Listen here, pussy wiener.
All right, single round match. Let's go.
Hype.
Oh, we fighting? Who's fighting?
I told him earlier he owes me combat.
I do not owe you combat.
You owe me fucking combat, pussy.
Tired CJ
Pistols
owes you
at dawn.
combat.
Pistols at dawn, let's go.
You couldn't take me at dawn.
Well, you'll be sleeping.
Exactly.
My name's Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
Pog.
What's
up, guys?
What?
So, what's up now?
I don't
The
know.
fucking sky, my guy. The fucking
Joe's
sky.
blood pressure.
Fight you.
I gotta go put these fucking podcasts together.
Why is it every time I get on here, fucking what's his face wants to fight me?
Doug?
No. CJ. Why does he always want to fight me, bro?
You've
couldn't
been
even remember my
extraordinarily
name.
hostile to him.
Yeah, you're right. I have been. That's my bad. But you know what? Fuck hitting on the plane.
But it's like he expects me, to know so much and everything and whatnot.
Yeah, how do you not know this niche piece of
How do
Yu-Gi-Oh
you
history?
not know this information? And then I match his level of Yu-Gi-Oh history, and he's like, "Nah, that's not true." All right.
Oh shit!
Honestly, I just want him to kind of quit being a bitch. Oh, what? Damn, I'm sorry.
Dude.
Don't worry about it. Joe still thinks that Fiber Jar is not an okay card.
It's 'cause it's
Yo,
not.
Drytron Nova got ashed. The dude left the game.
I mean, that's pretty much how it goes.
Oh,
Is that not how that goes?
that's awkward.
We're playing Layer versus Evil Twin. All right. Interesting.
That sounds like a fucking game right there.
Red layer? I'm in.
Like, it just sounds like a hard game, honestly. But then again, anytime that there's a layer on deck, I'm scared.
Yo, that's scary. Cost tributing as removal.
Yeah, they're like, what if I just take away your monsters without you having the ability to say no? Like, you could just fucking not, you know?
Oh, you whiffed the allure.
Uh-oh.
Wait, what?
That's not good.
You
See,
drew,
I'm not sure if anybody knows, but we were never whiffing allures, okay?
He drew
That
TT.
seems like a critical error has occurred.
he needs
Like,
to
if
play
you
more
whip-
dangers.
If you whip an allure, I feel like multiple things are going wrong,
Bro,
right?
if you whiffed an alert, it was just simply not your day, my guy.
That's the Hail Mary pass.
Dude, just imagining not knowing you can resolve the allure and then still just going for it anyways. Wait, is
Sometimes
that
that's the
could
way
that,
it be.
could that just be a strategy for what's it called? For like Infernoid?
Noid.
Just throw like 15 dudes into the yard free. What's
The
good?
yard.
Yeah, you just send 7 noids to the grave.
We're taking the boys to the yard.
Tell me that I'm wrong there, where that doesn't just sound like fucking cool.
Yeah, it's cool till you run out of gas after 2 summons.
Listen, man, we were never. I mean, you're playing Infernoid, so like,
I mean, your
the
deck
deck
sucks.
literally goes, we're pretty limited on what we're trying to do anyways, so like, you're trying to just do too much anyways.
We're going to the yard. Damn. Yeah.
I love how much you love that.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing that in my life. Never did I know that I needed something more in my life, and I've never known.
Dude, no, like, I just love how much you love, like, my terminology.
It's fantastic. I love learning new Yu-Gi-Oh terminology.
Like,
You know what I love, Joe? I love how
Ah.
much you love knowing that I love the fact that you love feet on Ash Blossom.
Yo,
That
Joe
does
is
not
Joe is
surprise me at all.
100% a feet artwork supporter.
Yeah, I'm 100% forehead.
Yeah, forehead
I
for
just,
life.
you just can't get enough of that
dude,
cranium
if she doesn't
space.
have a big forehead, I'm not into it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
You guys are fucking gay.
You're the one who likes the feet.
Yeah,
Everyone likes the
weirdo.
dick.
Here I am, I'm just telling you the truth, and you're like, you're gay. I'm like, what the fuck? I just like big forehead women.
I just want you to be. I just want to be a humble cart herder.
I like my women to be able to be discarded from the hand to negate a search.
Word.
I'm not gonna lie, like that sounds like the
That
perfect
sounds
girl.
super hot.
Yeah, like that. I just updated my dating thing. You have to be able to discard yourself to be held.
Yo, if you can't negate a search from the hand, I'm not interested.
I'm not into it.
Yo, boys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I know I said it's probably my least favorite build of the deck, but with Prosperity, Invoke Dogmatica seems kind of nutty.
Yo, fuck your extra deck is
Oh.
basically what you're saying.
Wasn't it always fuck your extra deck?
Yeah.
I mean, it always was. Like, the only thing you care about is the Mechaba, but, like, bruh. It just seems kind of nutty. Like, okay, look, I opened one start. I, like, opened one half of my deck, but I didn't open the other half, so let's just dig 6 deeper.
Yo, is this layer player gonna win?
Okay, why aren't my teammates following my charge?
You fucking
Just gonna-
stop. Why?
You have teammates?
This man's discarded 3 cards from his hand off that whiff allure. And he's still controlling the game.
I mean, honestly, like allure or like not. Sorry, layer fucking like Lilith is just insane.
Oh,
Is this
how did you get
Eldritch
so
Evil
many
Twin? I
cards?
just realized. Ice Melody showed up.
Oh shit!
Ice Melody.
The Prodigy, the Mans.
The man's.
The child? Or is he just
Oh. Oh shit! Sorry, that was
Gross.
rude.
Get it.
That's crazy. Yo, what's a good hand trap to play this format?
All of them.
Gamma.
Beta.
Gamma's one hell of a card.
Maybe don't wrong. I like Gamma. Just
I feel like Gamma has a weird time a lot of the time, though.
well, I'm working on a Invoke Dogmatica list, but like,
Oh, I'd be on Ash Bell.
I have Ash Blossom and Nibiru in my main deck, but like,
I think
I know. Droll Reincarnation.
Ugh.
can we like actually just kill Doug?
We have tried. He keeps coming back.
That's what you wanted to do every time I Ash Drolled you.
Yo, top deck Red Eyes Fusion is pretty good.
Oh,
He's
how about
better
Beach
than
Ball
his opponent.
Engage? That's a good
What's
combo.
up?
I forgot
Beach
about
Ball
that.
Engage, yeah.
Yeah, so Joe ripped 4 cards out of Doug's hand, and you had just Beach Ball left, right?
Yeah, and I top
And
deck
then you top deck Engage with 3 spells of Grave because he put him there.
I was never more pissed off.
I mean,
Imagine
that
doing
was
everything right
for
and
the
still losing the
championship.
game. But also, that is one of the saddest things ever.
Doug literally looked at me. He's like, "It doesn't matter." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he just fucking Dougie's on me.
He draws the Engage for turn. He's like, dude, I'm sorry. Bye.
He
I didn't apologize. I never broke eye contact.
He just left you, like...
He looked him dead in the fucking eyes and just threw the beach
I was
ball
like, here,
down.
have it. You can have it. I just put it face down, slid it across the table, and was like, here.
I got you something.
He's like, "I brought you a friend." I'm like, "A friend?" He's like, "A friend."
Friend.
And then I proceeded to call him the gamer word and shook his hand.
Like, those cards would look real good in the fucking graveyard right about now.
Don't revive me, you dumb motherfuckers.
Is this
There's 3 people shooting at us.
Is this a good board?
Fucking
Dolga
stupid are
Conductor?
you? Yeah, I'm flipping out on you, you dumbass motherfucker.
I didn't do it. Why are you being
I
angry?
had nothing to do with
Why
it.
are you being so angry?
Why are you so angry?
Doug, explain yourself, please.
His teammates aren't doing the thing where they're supposed to do.
Yes.
It's
My
always
teammates
what
are
it
doing the
is.
things that they're not supposed to
That
do.
is literally always what it is.
Explain yourself, pussy winner.
I hate to be that guy, but
Yes.
feel as the guy that never does the thing he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
I am
You're
that
the-
teammate.
you're the reason I have high blood pressure. Is that what you're saying?
That's not
Most
him.
likely, usually, yeah.
That's DJ's fault.
Damn.
Doug.
True.
Like, I don't know who these people are.
You know, I didn't have high blood pressure before I was married with children.
Imagine.
Isn't that a show? Married with Children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Jesus Christ. Got 0 kills.
Cheese and crackers.
You know, I don't want to play Schism in this deck, but I feel like you have to.
Why wouldn't you?
Because I'm not playing Maximus. But, like,
Well, then why would you want to play Schism?
well, I mean, you can still do the Schism play where you can start by sitting, if you want to, you can still nat your servant and Apollo away and still search if you wanted to. This is an option for game 1.
I mean, it's pretty pog.
I'm tired. About to go to bed.
Don't you fucking go to bed on me, you wiener.
Shut
What
the
he said.
fuck up.
Yeah, okay.
I never.
Not dear.
I hate how good that card is.
No, you don't. You love it.
I don't, but like you know, I have to
Oh,
say
nice
it that
grenade
way.
throw.
Bro, all these flavors, and Jug just chooses to be salty every time.
What's Doug even playing?
Destiny.
Destiny Dose.
Oh, killed you in your healing breath, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you get them.
I feel like Strike would be good in this deck.
I'm not gonna lie, Strike's pretty fucking amazing overall right now.
I know, right? They'll never expect Witcher Strike.
I
I
actually
will
hate
hurt you.
Oh, there you corner camping piece of shit. God damn it, you got me.
Yeah, tell him about it.
Doug's hilarious. You corner camping piece of shit.
I mean, you get me, you get me.
Oh.
Oh, we lost the lead.
Guys, I'm ending the stream. Whoever's still here, looks like quite a bit. Thanks for coming. Check us out next time. Probably won't stream before I get to California. So.